I wish that they knew that they need to stop following what everyone else is doing because that doesn't mean that it's going to work for them. And they just need to be themselves.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And this week I'm joined by Ginna Tassanelli, and she is a marketing strategist, a speaker, CEO of Hype Media, where she helps established experts and brands turn their offline credibility into profitable online visibility. And when I say I wish that I met Ginna the day I decided to step out of corporate, I really, really mean it, you guys. She is very accomplished in marketing. She has over 24 years of experience in marketing and sales, including a decade leading campaigns at iHeartRadio. Ginna knows what it takes to cut through the noise and create real connection that converts. She is bold. She does not do fluff. And she has her signature visibility to profit system, which helps clients attract premium buyers, simplify their marketing, and scale without burnout. She's also a mom and an entrepreneur and lifelong storyteller. And she's also one of my friends that I met on Facebook because we
Yes.
use media to be social. Ginna,
Exactly.
welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh my gosh, my absolute pleasure. So we were connecting, a dear listener, before Ginna and I went live with the recording. And to be honest, as entrepreneurs, as busy people, we kind of had a minute where we were like, why do we know each other?
Right.
You know, we knew that this was coming and everything. And then I'm like pulling up her file. I'm like, oh, you're Ginna. And that was like a literal moment. And it was crazy. And I just have to tell you all this because I want to set the scene for our whole conversation. It flooded in my brain. Oh my gosh, I know Ginna. I like Ginna. I trust what Ginna has to say because guess what? I've seen her on my Facebook. We connected organically through Facebook connections. We sparked a conversation there. And the reason why I was having a hard time placing her is because this is our actual first live, face-to-face conversation. But I really want you to hear this. Asynchronously, we've been friends for a while. And
Yeah.
like this is happening real time. So Ginna, thank you again for being here. You have a whole philosophy about marketing.
Hmm.
And I feel like this example that I just shared of like, Ginna, I know you, I like you, I trust you. We're already friends. It, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've been friends through voice notes too.
I know. I know. We've
So,
exchanged voices. What I needed to do is close my
yes,
eyes, right? Because you're in
exactly.
3D right now.
Yeah, we've been human on social media. Imagine that. That's how it works.
Imagine that. I love it. So you have a whole philosophy around this, right? Around what marketing can be. And you have, I would say, maybe both sides to a coin around perspective on marketing. You've got that corporate style experience, but you also have the boots on the ground, more solopreneur level experience with it.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you wish people knew about marketing that they maybe don't know?
I wish that they knew that they need to stop following what everyone else is doing because that doesn't mean that it's going to work for them. And they just need to be themselves, especially when we're talking to other experts, coaches, consultants, right? And people like myself that developed our career offline, right? Like I really Hype Media didn't start until 2009. Facebook was like a baby. I still had a MySpace account, right? So we didn't really use social media for business yet. And I know it's challenging to leave corporate or to come from the offline space and then try to expand or evolve that same success online. And we tend to like get super robotic because of the technology. But I want people to know that if you are yourself and you actually show up, there's number one, no competition because, well, I used to say because no one can clone you, but that's starting to change a little bit with
So
AI.
much for that.
But, the point is that is that there's so much opportunity online when you are taking a marketing approach that's more human centric and not worried about trends, not worried about virality, and just really making connections. It's really about deeper connections, and that's how you're going to cut through all the noise and really do what a CEO needs to do, which is market yourself, generate leads, and make sales to make a bigger impact in other people's lives, but also in yours. So, yeah.
Well, I'm always teaching and preaching. I've had the Coaches Plaza for a few years now. Not as long as you. That's impressive. 2009. And the thing that I always found when I was working with somebody is like they always really overcomplicate it. And I think the reason why is we're voyeurs, we're watchers, we're daydreamers before we finally make the leap. And listener, if this is our first time meeting, I also made the leap from corporate, and I sincerely meant it. Like I wish I met someone like Gina back when I was making that transition, because I remember I was so scared of what my current network was going to think of me. I was scared that it wasn't going to work and I'd have to retreat back to corporate. I was dealing with a lot of more personal growth type things, like my own body self image and my self talk and all of that kind of thing. So I'm curious, Gina, when you're working with somebody and you're helping them access the more human side of their marketing, that it's more connection based, what do you find yourself telling people, over and over again to help them to get past those heebie-jeebies and maybe the confidence gap that they may be experiencing?
Yeah, so I really have them think about where did they start, right? Where have they come from? The years of experience that they have. That stomps like everything else. And so I think what happens is we tend to compare ourselves with a lot of what we see out there, like you said. And, some of, not some, it's such a wide range of what seems to be successful online, especially when we're talking about, I don't know how old you are, Amanda, but I'm almost 50. So I'm talking about, I work with a lot of women, especially that are in their C's and C's, and they feel so unmotivated because they're seeing these young people that are they seem so successful, right, with what they're doing online. And what I explain to them is the difference between them and you, number one, is your expertise, huge difference. But number two, what's working for them is that they are just doing it, right?
Yeah.
They don't know any better, and they're just doing it without, I mean, they may have some fear, but they are just like bold and blunt, and they're going for it. So,
Yeah.
I do a lot of, I help them a lot through that personal development. And this is just me walking my own journey with them, my own experience. I also, coming from corporate America with iHeartRadio, I was working with regional and national brands. So I thought when I left corporate, okay, I need to have my fonts, my logo ready, my website. Like I was ready to market myself like this huge corporate agency, like everyone was supposed to know me. And I everything was very private. I didn't even have an Instagram. When I finally got Instagram, it was private. My business Facebook page was my logo, Hype Media. Like nobody knew who Hype Media was. And so I quickly started to figure out that the missing piece and why I wasn't growing and scaling as fast as I thought that I should with all the experience I had is because I wasn't showing up as a personal brand, as myself. So I help them through that development of, how to really package themselves as a personal brand, because we are all personal brands. Like since the day we were born, we are a personal brand. It's just we don't see ourselves that way. So it's a little bit of a process. And then conversations, like, it's practice, having more conversations with people online, networking, partnerships, collaborations, and all of that really helps us to build that confidence, because once we start having these conversations, it's like we're back feeling like we're in our shoes again, right? So even though we're doing these things online now most of the time. So that's really the process that we work through.
The word that's downloading right now is audacity.
Oh yeah.
When I started my journey, I was very anti-branding, and I didn't understand branding enough to know that that was actually part of the brand, right?
Right.
But I tapped into some audacity to be like, oh, I was 2.5 years in my business too before I decided to do Instagram. So I'm
Yeah.
loving that you're saying that, because I wish it would be more normalized that it's like, it's scary to get up in front of everybody, right?
Right.
But if you have enough audacity, you'll do it. And I remember like one of the big things that I was super conscious about is I didn't identify with, kind of the Barbie branding.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
P.S. I love Barbie. But I didn't personally see myself as a Barbie, and I knew that there was I had a different vibe, I was a different sort of doll. And so I also felt like I had given a lot to corporate in terms of how I showed up and presented myself. So, for the first few years of my business, you never saw me without sparkles on my nails, because I would not dare in a corporate context to walk in with sparkles on
Right.
my nails. And, there were things like that, and also not wearing makeup all the time and things like that. And I know I'm all made up today, but the audacity to turn the damn camera on even without makeup was absolutely unlocking for me, because I realized how it felt so scary, but the reality was I got to connect with people like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's
that's so
that's
cool.
the beauty of it, honestly. I love it. And I love that you're talking about showing up on camera, because that is one of the things outside of, really honing in that yes, I am a personal brand. Outside of that, I would say that the real start to what allowed my business to really start to multiply and scale and grow with visibility, and then with attracting collaborative partners and referral partners, was when I started showing up on video. And it's one of the things that as an agency we get hired to do for other personal brands and experts and corporate brands, is to create their live stream shows, because I'm so passionate about teaching, showing up on video, and having the confidence to do so because of, my own experience through that. I mean, I used to have like, and I say this, I'll say it here. I used to literally get off of a live video, which maybe lasted like 10 minutes, and have like just huge armpit sweats underneath my arms from being
Same.
so
Yes, I
nervous.
was terrified.
Yes, I was terrified, but now it is so much fun. Like, I love showing up on camera because you really get to connect with the audience, and they get to hear your voice and see your personality. And I speak a lot with my hands and, all that fun stuff, but it's so important. So that's another thing that I love to share with my clients is, and to really practice and help them through and coach them through, is showing up on video. It makes such a huge difference, especially on social media. So I love
I
that you
love
mentioned.
this. And, I really want to get your opinion on this. The world's changing so fast.
Mhm.
There's tools now that people can create like their AI twin, and they can create all this content that is, it looks like, it moves like, it sounds sort of like. What role do you see AI playing for people? And, you know, where are we headed with all of that when it comes to a personal brand, do you think? I know that's maybe a big question.
Yeah.
We can have a whole nother episode maybe about it, but just some
No,
initial
no.
thoughts.
I love it. So, it's interesting. I'm in a lot of communities, a lot of containers with people that are really like just diving full in with AI, with AI twins, or I call it my AI cousin. And some are using those for their brand shoots. I'm like, I don't personally, I'm not for that. That's not my thing. Especially for me, I have a 19-year-old daughter, and I'm like, why do I want to, put myself out there as something that sort of looks like me, maybe a lot better, when I embrace myself, my body, the way that it is. So that's kind of the perspective that I take with like the AI photos, the brand photos. Now, the videos, I will say last week, at the time that we're recording this, last week I did do a video through Sora 2 to test that out. It was super fun. I'm cracking up at myself. My kids and my husband are like, that is so cringy. Do not post it, but I did. So if you follow me, it's out there. But it's definitely not me, and I made it super funny so it doesn't look like me. So it's like, I think it's fun in a sense, but for entertainment. But when people are using it to literally clone themselves, I've even seen podcast clones, right? Where it's It's not you, but it's a clone of you on video doing a podcast and having a whole podcast show, like an entire series. For me, that's it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I hear that. I think a lot about the economy that we're in and how all this stuff is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of it like you're an artist, you're a creator. And the thing that I had to learn in terms of monetizing is like, look, there's consumers and there's creators. And as a creator, just like any other artist, you have so many choices when it comes to the medium. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to like, well, what are you trying to say? And
Right.
are you saying something that people can follow along with and want to be a part of? Perhaps there's a world where the AI is so good and so strong, is really supportive of your message. And maybe
Right.
that's not as far away as we think, but I love your perspective of like the humanity and like flaws and all. I
Mhm.
find myself when I use AI tools, even just for editing pictures, it's
Yeah.
like I can add like a little contour, right? Like I can, you asked me earlier, dear listener, I'm 40. And just like any other person, I have my flaws, and something I really want to just sort of add to that. Yes, and I feel that people make relationships not primarily over the imperfections, but rather around like what are we building towards? What are we growing towards? Which also means embracing like the flaws that you have. Do I find them cute? Do I find it endearing that you're working on these things? Do I find relation with you that we're working on these things together? And if so, then that's actually been the foundation of a lot of friendship is the flaws and the darkness and the shadows. And the
Right.
thing about AI is that it's so tempting to just erase all of it.
Hmm.
And when you erase all of it, then there's less for us to connect over. So I tend to be in your camp. I do think that the AI can be a really interesting medium, but we can't lose the artist.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
love it. Gina, if people wanted to follow you and keep up with your genius, what's the best way to do that?
Facebook. Facebook is the best way for sure. I'm all over the place, but I'm always there.
I love it. So good. Listener, give Gina a follow. We'll make sure that her link is in the show notes along with all of her other resources. Gina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This was super fun. I loved it.
Yes, me too. And listener, don't forget if you loved this whole authentic conversation around real human marketing, make sure you grab the link and share it with three of your dear friends who need to hear that they need to be themselves, that they need to show up with authentic connection. Just share it with three people who would definitely benefit from that message. And by the way, if you want to continue to support this show, there's two things you can do. Number one, hit the subscribe button so then you never miss another episode. And number two, if you're loving what we're doing around here, we love you too. And a quick, honest review goes a super long way. When people are trying to decide what to listen to or whether to spend time with something, those reviews help a lot, and we always really appreciate it. Until our next show, we will see you and do what matters. Until then, all right, my friends, goodbye.